Hey guys, it's Jason here with Gaming for the People. If you guys like my content, please like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's play some Danganronpa. I think the one who may have taken their handbook into the sauna was who might have brought their handbook into the sauna. Really, could only have been one person. Your handbook got broken in the sauna, didn't it? What? Why? Why do you keep accusing me, man? Mondo and Taka had an endurance contest in the sauna not too long ago, remember? And in the contest, Mondo just happened to keep his school uniform on. But little did he realize he had also left his handbook in one of his uniform pockets. And when it was over, Mondo discovered that taking your handbook into the sauna could easily destroy it. No, wait, you got it all wrong. He would never have killed. I don't accept it. Show me proof. Actual solid proof. I don't want to believe it either, but I found something that proves it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Mondo, the handbook you have right now, is it really yours? The fuck is that supposed to mean? The broken handbook in the main hall. Isn't that one actually yours? What are you talking about? I mean, I think Mondo swapped on his handbook out with one that actually works. I think he took Leon's handbook and replaced it with his own. After all, Monokuma said himself that Leon's handbook never should have broken. That's right! The punishment it suffered wasn't nearly enough to destroy it. So then, the broken handbook in the main halls is actually Mondo's. Which would mean that the handbook that Mondo has right now is actually Leon's. Yes? But doesn't that violate school regulations? That it says against loaning your handbook? Well, the way I look at it, there is a rule against loaning your handbook to another student. But if they're dead, they're not a student. It's kind of a gray area, I admit. But no worries. If anything, it just makes the game more interesting. As such, I'd agree that exchanging handbooks with the corpse is not a violation of the rules. Well, Mondo, if I'm wrong, you're welcome to say so. If I'm happy to admit I made a mistake, but son of a bitch. What's wrong, bro? Come on, tell me he's wrong. You are wrong. You have to be wrong. Everything you just said is wrong. You made it all up. Okay then, why don't we look over the case one more time from the beginning. That way, everything will become clear, and we'll all see if I was right or wrong. A duffel bag and... there's something that something everyone needs to get into the locker room. Which locker room did Chihiro go into? Chihiro, my good little friend, went into the male's room. The weapon the killer used. The dumbbell. Blood spattered. To disguise the truth, the carpet, they moved to the posters. Which locker room did the killer take the scene of the crime to? The females. The killer took something out of the other locker room and switched out the crime. What was that Byakuya took to the murder scene? It could have only been... When Byakuya arrived on the scene, what did he use to disguise what happened? What did the killer go after when they were done? The sauna. First, let's look back before the incident. Last night, Celeste saw Chihiro in the warehouse, correct? And at the time, she was stuffing a duffel bag stuffing something into a duffel bag. That something was a blue tracksuit. You can confirm this, right, Celeste? With bag in hand, Chihiro headed out, even though it was officially nighttime. She made her way into the locker room, specifically the boys' locker room. But how could the victim, who is apparently a girl, access the boys' locker room? Simple, because she was actually a he. Which is why he was able to use his own e-handbook to gain entrance to the boys' locker room. Ugh. Once inside, he met up with someone there, and the person who he met had killed him. It seems that the killer likely grabbed a nearby dumbbell and approached the unsuspecting Chihiro and attacked him. And that's where the bloodstains on the poster and the carpeting on the boys' locker room came from. It was likely in the heat of the moment. The body was arranged, but the murder itself felt unplanned. Which is exactly why the killer hurried up to hide the yacht. First pulling up the blood-stained carpet, and then removing the bloody poster. And finally, the carrying of the corpse to the girls' locker room. The girl's handbook was necessary to get into the locker, of course, but this alone wasn't enough to prove that the killer was a girl. After Sayaka and Junko's handbooks had been placed in the main hall, using one of these, a boy could get access to the girls' locker rooms without much problem. And that is exactly how the killer did it. With the carpet and the poster they brought with them, they got to work. They changed the layout of the boys' and girls' locker rooms, and what you might call a crime scene switch. That could have been the end of things, but no. Byakuya discovered the body and decided to intervene in the situation, making things even more complicated. So after stumbling upon the scene of the crime, he went and grabbed the extension cord from the library. Then he got to work. He used the cord to string up Chihiro's lifeless body. Then, using the victim's own blood, he allowed a grisly message there at the scene of the crime. He wanted to create the illusion that Genocide Jack was responsible for the slaughter. And around the same time Byakuya was putting on this facade, the killer had already disposed of Chihiro's bag and other belongings, or had arrived at the sauna. There, they planned to destroy the last piece of evidence, Chihiro's handbook. And just as the killer was expected, the steamy sauna was enough to ruin the electronic gadget. Somehow, the killer knew that the handbook couldn't stand up to the heat of the sauna. And the reason why they knew, because the sauna had already wrecked their own handbook. And that's how it all played out. Isn't that right, Mondo Owada? Wait, no, this can't be right. Where's your evidence? Yeah, you need evidence. You need evidence. You need proof. Without any proof, you can't pin any of this on him. Evidence that Mondo is the killer. That already revealed itself earlier in the trial. All I have to do is check that one clear item of his, and everything will become clear. This might be a little tricky, actually. Never mind. Mondo's broken handbook. If my thinking so far is right, Mondo must have replaced his broken handbook with Leon's. In which case, we can just check each one of our handbooks right now. And if we do that, we ain't gotta do that. Huh? Yeah. I did it. I killed him. What are you saying? I got no choice, man. After healing all that, I gotta just give up. Go ahead, Monokuma. Get it over with. Ask for the goddamn verdict. Roger that! Wait, hold on. No waiting, no holding on. The time for the moment we've all been waiting for. Grab your level and give it a yank. Who will you elect as the Blackens this time around? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? This time, it looks like you got it right again. Yes, this is it. The Blackens who killed Chihiro Fujisaki was Mando Owada. In case you were wondering, the vote was not unanimous. Kiyotaka chose the wrong answer. You were treading very dangerous to the dangers of Mr. Ishimaru. You need to be much more careful. I refuse to believe it. There's no way. There's no way he would kill someone. Sorry. Why are you apologizing? Why? Why did you do it? Well, it seems Mando's taken a vow of silence, so allow me to explain on his behalf. The story of the murder this time is the sad story of two men. But for anyone who doesn't want to hear about that, you can just press the B button to fast forward the text. Anyway, there was once a young boy, and his name was Chihiro Fujisaki. He had an extreme inferiority complex regarding his own lack of strength. You're so weak, even though you're a boy. He had heard such things as long as he could remember, and he couldn't overcome his weakness. On the contrary, he tried to hide it and buried himself further and further into that weakness to take on the fragile form of a petite young girl. He had chosen that as his way out. Now, nobody will be able to say anything about that, even though you were a boy. But no matter how tightly he wrapped himself in that shell, the inferiority complex had already taken deep root inside of himself and wasn't so easily weeded out. As it turned out, the shell was completely empty. The complex didn't disappear. Instead, it only grew stronger and stronger. I'm weak. Weak. Once the killing game had begun, at the school, he had no choice but to accept this fact. After all, in this world, it's survivor of the fittest. If you're not strong, you don't survive. And then, the lovely and hateful Monokuma revealed the announcement and revealing of embarrassing secrets, which of course included Chihiro's embarrassing secret, which I was more than willing to indulge. Even though she dresses like a girl, Chihiro Fujisaki is actually a boy. And that was something Chihiro couldn't let anyone figure out, no matter the costs. If that were to be revealed, that'd be the end. The hard shell would crack, and the armor would fall away. Without a doubt, those around him would torture him more than ever. Everyone figured being thrust into such a dilemma must have sent him spiraling into despair. And yet... sorry. I don't want to talk about it right now. But I don't want to leave things as they are now. So maybe we can talk about it later. After all, after I try my best to become strong, then I can tell everyone. Annoyingly, he used the threat of discovery to motivate himself to become even stronger. Now's my chance. I'm gonna get stronger and accept who I am. Strong enough to that when somebody says, even though you're a boy, I'll be okay. I'll get better. And with that thought in his mind, he resolved to take immediate action. And so... that day, he made the commitment to begin exercising. He was prepared to retrain his mind and body. But sadly, that would be the first and only chance he would ever get at it. When he decided to start exercising, he thought it'd be good to ask for someone's help. But he wanted to tell that person his secret first, and then ask